DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello there. I'm Sandy Williams, member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton area. I'm here today with the candidate running for the office of Trotwood Council at Large. There are 3 candidates running for 2 open seats for this position, and those candidates are Rhonda Finley, Robert Kelly Jr., and David E. Young. Unfortunately, Mrs. Finley and Mr. Kelly were unable to join us today due to prior commitments. So we have Mr. Young. Okay. We are going to start our interviews by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you chose to run.
Hello, my name is David Young. I was born in Trotwood and raised in Trotwood until my family later on moved to Dayton. For most of my teen years, I lived in Dayton until my later years in my career. I came back to the city to work. And then I realized how much I missed the city after growing up there, and getting the opportunity to come back was a blessing, and to participate in the city. Later on, I took a job at the city of Trotwood as the clerk of council and enjoyed the opportunity to help the city grow through the last 4 years of revitalization under our great Mayor McDonald. And so I chose to run this year because I want to bring a vibrancy and a new direction and just a new outlook for the city of Trotwood. I think we've seen all the things that have been happening, and we're in a very critical time with Trotwood after the recent tornadoes. So I believe I can bring a vibrancy and a new outlook that I don't currently see. And so that's why I chose to run for city council.
Okay. And here's our first question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Trotwood was hurt pretty hard by the tornadoes that hit the Dayton area over Memorial Day holiday. How do you feel the recovery is going? And how would you prepare differently if another disaster like this should occur in your community?
So I believe that the recovery has gone really well. I know the next morning I went out with the mayor and some of the city management team and seen how quickly that they had gotten roads cleaned up and started helping people get out of their homes and to better locations. I know that there was a lot of time where they were trying to move the citizens to better locations. I know some of the apartments had to be evacuated.
Yes.
It was a very busy time, but the recovery process has been great. I know that it's not going to be perfect for everyone. I know some people are still without their homes, and the process to rebuild those homes is going to take a little while, but the recovery process, I believe, has been phenomenal. I mean, there's been support from state leaders and federal leaders to help continue the recovery process, and I believe it's going really well. I think in the future, they were very well prepared. The city of Trotwood had, in the last few years, during my time as an employee there as well, we were going through the national training for emergency management, and so the city and the leaders, the management team had all learned the process of how to properly execute in case of an emergency management need. And so I believe they were very well prepared, and should it happen again in the future, I think they're equipped to handle something like that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Our next question is, there is a list of over 500 towns in the 500 homes in the Dayton area that are still suffering damages. FEMA funds are inadequate to repair some of these homes and businesses. What can be done to help Trotwood residents recover and remain in their homes?
So I know that there was a lot of problems with people trying to get the FEMA funds, but there are many other opportunities out there. I know one of within the first week of the tornado hitting, the Ohio Realtors came to the city of Trotwood and released a statement about the grant funds that they were offering for citizens to be able to get, I believe it was $1,000, which I know is not a big amount to help with rebuilding a home, but any amount helps, and especially in a time of need. So I know that there's money out there. I know the Ohio Realtors, I know that I have been invited to join the Trotwood Disaster Relief Fund board with the mayor and a few other city leaders, and I know that there's some small amount of money there that's available to citizens. And then I think it's going to be a collaborative effort. I think we need to continue working with our state leaders and our federal leaders to make sure we have some bigger pots of money to help people rebuild, because you're right, FEMA was not enough for everyone.
No.
And there needs to be other opportunities. And I believe those discussions have happened. I know that the mayor has worked with some of our state leaders and federal leaders to discuss how we bring some of that money to help rebuild the city. Because it is going to take a few years, and unfortunately we have to wait around to figure out how that happens. But I believe the groundwork is already being laid, and I've been involved in some of those conversations, so I think the money is coming back to help those citizens.
All right, thank you very much. City councils establish objectives for their communities. Please name a short-term and a long-term objective for the city of Trotwood, and why are these objectives important?
So short term, I would say figuring out a way to, in terms of the tornado, I would say the tornado is going to be the big focus for the next few years in the recovery process. So for short term, I would say, how can we retain our citizens? Because a lot of citizens had been displaced due to the tornado. So how do we keep our citizens in the city so we're not losing population and we're not losing tax-paying citizens and the children in the schools? So our short-term goal would be maintaining those citizens, to keep them here in the city. And then I think the long-term goal is, how do we bring back affordable housing? Because now that some of our affordable apartments and some of the homes that were destroyed, how do we bring that back? And that'd be my long-term goal. So we've retained them, how do we find housing for them to stay now? Long-term and affordable. That would be my long-term goal.
Okay. In closing, we'd like to provide you with a time to make a closing statement. And you're the only one.
Yeah.
So you get the last word.
Great. Well, I believe that Trotwood is in a very critical time, and it's time for some leaders who will be seen and heard throughout the city, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be your next city council member for the city of Trotwood. So on November 5th, remember David Young for Trotwood City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. And David, thank you for your participation today, and good luck with your campaign. The League of Women Voters encourages all candidates to run an issues-based campaign. Our goal is to educate the voting public and strengthen our elective political process. We encourage everyone to vote. The League of Women Voters Guide will be available at all the libraries and on your doorstep the week of October 14th. Whether you vote early or absentee or at the polls, your opinion matters, and your vote is what makes our democracy work. Thank you very much.